Hi, my name is Jordan Whitehead, and the disorder I'm going to be discussing today is depression. What exactly is depression? Well, depression is a serious but common mood disorder. It results in a constant feeling of sadness and loss of interest. It affects how one feels, thinks, and handles daily activities. In order for a diagnosis to be presented, symptoms must be present in the patient for at least 2 weeks. All this information was found on Mayo Clinic. Depression is a very broad term and it has many subcategories. Today we'll be discussing 3 different types of depression. The first type of depression I will be discussing is persistent depressive disorder. Persistent depressive disorder is seen in individuals who are depressed for 2 years or longer. The next type of depression is postpartum depression. This affects pregnant or new mothers, and the symptoms typically fade 2 weeks after the baby is delivered. The next most common form of depression is major depressive disorder. This is the most broad diagnosis of depression, and it is just typically referred to as depression. All of this information was found on the National Institute of Health. There are many reasons why depression is a pressing public health concern. One of the reasons being is that it's an economic burden. The disorder is expected to cost 1/3 of profit raised for non-communicable diseases. This was found in an article by K.S. Jacob, Depression, a Major Public Health Problem in Need of a Multisectoral Response. Additional health resources are also required for those with the disorder. This is an additional cost. Those working with the disorder lose on average 5.6 hours of productivity. That loss of productivity leads to a profit loss of $36.6 billion in the workplace annually. Found in McLaughlin's article, The Public Health Impact of Major Depression, a Call for Interdisciplinary Preventative Orders. Another reason why depression is a public health concern is because it is associated with many other diseases, such as diabetes, angina, asthma, and arthritis. Depression continues to prove to be a public health concern because it also severely affects low-income individuals. The disorder has high rates on those in an income level who may not have access to treatment. This was found in an article by Jacob, Depression, a Major Public Health Problem in Need of a Multisectoral Response. These next few slides are going to talk about the prevalence of depression among a few different categories. The first category we're going to be talking about is the prevalence of the depression in the United States. Overall, 19.6% of the population has or has had depression. The highest rate was in West Virginia with 26.6%, while the lowest rate was in New Jersey with 11.8%. The southern region shows the highest rates of depression, and the southwest region shows the lowest rates of depression. On the right, I have a map of the United States and the levels of depression. The next category we're going to be focusing on is the prevalence of depression in genders. Women showed a rate of 25.1%. This is higher than the national average. Men showed a rate of 14.5%, much lower than the national average. From state to state, the average rate for women was about 10% higher than men. On the right, I have a bar graph illustrating what the rates look like. The prevalence of depression between different ethnicities was then observed. The ethnicity with the highest rates of depression were those of multi-race. They have a rate of 30.9%. Then American Indians in Alaskan Natives. They showed a rate of 27.2%. Then Caucasians with a rate of 20.9%. Hispanics with a rate of 18.6%. African Americans with a rate of 18.1%. And then a shocking decrease presented with Asian ethnicities with a rate of 10.1%. This is much lower than national average. To the right, I have a chart illustrating the different depression rates. The next category is the prevalence of depression among different education levels. Those who have less than a high school education have a rate of 25%. Those with a high school diploma or a GED equivalent have a rate of 19.4%. Those with some post-high school education have a rate of 22.6%, and college graduates have a rate of 16.1%. Interestingly, there is no steady decrease in the numbers as education levels rise. The last set of data observed is the prevalence of depression among different income levels. Those making less than $15,000 annually have a rate of 36.6%. This is much higher than the national average and is actually the highest number we've seen. Those making between $15,000 and $24,999 have a rate of 27.6%. Those making between $25,000 and $34,999 have a rate of 21.2%. Those making between $35,000 and $49,999 have a rate of 18.6%. And those making more than $50,000 have a rate of 14.9%. If you look to the right, you'll see a bar graph illustrating what these rates look like. All of my data was found on the CDC's website. Prevention strategies for depression include the use of psychoeducation, social skills training, and cognitive reconstruction. Although those strategies are only used on individuals who are already showing signs of the disorder. Found in McLaughlin's article, The Public Health Impact of Major Depression, a call for interdisciplinary prevention efforts. For those who are showing no signs of the disorder, there's very little evidence of prevention strategies found being successful, found on the World Health Organization's website. Because prevention strategies have proved to be unsuccessful, the focus is on treatment and rehabilitation. Treatment is aimed to reduce the progression of the disorder. Different treatment options include therapy and medication. Rehabilitation is used to teach an individual how to live with the disorder. This includes teaching them coping mechanisms. It's focused on improving functioning and the day-to-day life of the individual. This was found on the American Mental Health Counselors Association website. The World Health Organization launched the WHO Mental Health Gap Action Program for those with mental disorders. This program led to an increase in services for low-income individuals who are battling depression. This is very important because depression affects low-income individuals more severely than it affects anyone else. This was found on the World Health Organization's website. Overall, depression is a very serious disorder that impacts many individuals. It heavily affects women, low-income individuals, and those who are multiracial. It's a public health threat for a variety of different reasons, and the most successful strategies for combating depression include treatment and rehabilitation. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great day. My references.